All right, let's dive into a financial mystery. But what's really interesting is that this isn't just about the money. This simple accounting puzzle, it actually holds a huge lesson for how we all manage our digital lives. And, it all kicks off with one kind of problematic number.
Take a look at this, $51,999. That is the exact amount flagged as a discrepancy in a big financial review. I mean, that's not chump change, right? On the surface, it looks like a massive problem. Like, where did all that money go? It's just gone.
So that's the big question, right? Is this a huge, sloppy accounting error? Or is it something else? Something way more subtle, something that has to do with just the ticking of a clock. Okay, so our story really gets going with this document right here. It's a formal response to that financial review, and its whole job, its entire reason for existing, is to explain these variances, to try and make sense of why the numbers just don't seem to add up. And when you look closer, that big number, it actually breaks down into two pieces. So it's not one single giant error. It's two different things happening. First, there's a variance of almost 10 grand in February, and then boom, a much bigger one, $42,000, hits in October.
All right, time to put on our detective hats. To figure this out, we've got to act like forensic accountants. We're going to follow the paper trail, piece by piece, to see what's really going on.
So, clue number one. It comes from the purchase orders, and check this out. They all follow a perfect sequential numbering system. Now, this is actually a huge deal. It tells us we're not looking at some messy, chaotic system. Nope. There's an organized, centralized process here. And that makes random, sloppy errors, well, a lot less likely. Okay, clue number two is all about timing. There's this super consistent, predictable delay. It's about 4.4 days, on average, between when a purchase order goes out and when a sales order is created. Now, this isn't some weird fluke. It's just how they operate. It's a standard lag. But remember that number, 4.4 days. It's going to be super important. And for our last clue, it's all about what's not being looked at. The review sets some pretty strict boundaries. It's not looking at things like cash payments or rebates. The whole investigation is laser-focused on just three things: purchase orders, sales orders, and invoices. That's it. This helps clear away all the noise and lets us focus right on that paper trail.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got our clues: an organized system, a consistent time delay, and a really narrow scope. You put all those pieces together, and we're about to crack this thing wide open.
So, with all that in hand, we circle right back to the big question, where did the money go? I mean, seriously, was it missing? Was it a mistake? What happened?
And here it is, the big reveal. The money isn't gone. Not at all. It was all about timing. Think about it. A purchase order comes in at the very end of February. It hits that 4.4-day processing delay we talked about, and by the time the actual invoice is created, boom, it's already March. It's a whole new accounting period. The money wasn't missing, it was just counted in the next month's books.
And the really crucial thing here, this wasn't some one-time screw-up. The exact same pattern explains both the February variance and the one in October. So the official verdict is, this is just how they do things. It's a repeatable, consistent, totally normal part of their operations. Case closed. And, just to put the final nail in the coffin on this mystery, this whole method is perfectly in line with standard accounting rules, what they call GAAP. You're supposed to recognize revenue only when the invoice is officially generated, not when the order first lands. So yeah, this was 100% standard procedure. It was never a problem to begin with. But here's the thing, solving this little accounting puzzle, it actually points to something way, way bigger. The real story here isn't about the $52,000. It's about how incredibly hard it was to trace a simple story through a company's own records. And that exact same problem, it's popping up in the massive digital archives we are all building every single day. I mean, think about it for a second. All the info was there from the start, but it took a full-blown forensic review just to piece the timeline together. So why is it so ridiculously hard to follow a simple story through our own digital trails? Well, this exact problem is absolutely exploding in a huge part of our lives now, our chats with AI.
And this quote, this really gets to the heart of it. We have to stop thinking of these things as just chats. We need to see them for what they really are, an archive.
Every single question you ask an AI, every little project you work on with it, it's all becoming part of this huge, sprawling record of your own work and your own decisions.
And let's be honest, right now, we're all managing these archives in the worst way possible. Just this endless, chaotic scroll. You lose context, you burn so much mental energy just trying to find that one thing from last week, and you end up losing great ideas or making the same mistakes over and over. But what if there was a better way? A new way that gave us a structured timeline and instant context, just like that financial audit finally did?
So, this all leads to a new vision for how we could organize these archives. What if we could take that same clarity, that same structure from the financial audit, and apply it to our own digital conversations?
It really starts with a change in how we think. We have to start treating these conversations as knowledge artifacts. This isn't just a disposable chat history anymore. It's a permanent, searchable record of your work. It's got the same kind of weight as those invoices and purchase orders we were just looking at.
So, what would that actually look like? Well, imagine this. Instead of that endless scroll, you could just pull up a calendar and navigate to that project you worked on last January. Then you search for a keyword and boom, it pulls up every related chat. You can review them all in a single clean view. No more having a dozen tabs open trying to piece the story together yourself.
And you know what the best part is? This isn't some futuristic new AI model we have to invent. It's way simpler. All the data, the timestamps, the text, it's already there. This is just about a clever user interface that brings out the structure that's already hidden in the data. It's a design solution, not some massive engineering problem.
Okay, let's zoom out for the big picture. Why does any of this matter? Why is having a structured, traceable archive so important anyway?
This is where it all clicks into place. Remember that financial review? It worked because of three key things: structure, reconciliation, and compliance. And guess what? Those are the exact same principles we need for our digital and AI archives. We need structure so we can find things. We need reconciliation, or, continuity, to connect our ideas over time. And we need compliance, or auditability, so we can actually trust and verify our own work.
You know, we all talk about AI as our partner, our co-pilot. But think about it. Any good co-pilot needs a really well-organized library to pull from. So the real question for us isn't if we're going to use these tools, it's how are we going to build their library? Are we just going to leave behind a messy pile of forgotten chats? Or are we going to build a structured, accessible archive of our very best thinking?